Fog, frost, sunshine, torrential rain even.
Back in the 1960s, radio in the UK was very, very tightly controlled. You had the BBC and that was it. And they weren't playing the newfangled pop music from bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. So some enterprising and commercially minded individuals bought boats, moored them 12 miles offshore outside Britain's territorial waters, put radio stations aboard and blasted pop music radio back to the UK on medium wave, AM. Well, the heyday of the pirate radio stations, as they were called, has long gone. Nowadays, anyone can be a broadcaster thanks to the internet. But the ethos and the spirit of boat radio lives on if you know where to tune in.
Nighttime on still waters. This is NB 506812, narrowcasting into the night from somewhere on Britain's waterways.
This is the narrowboat Erica, and the voice you've just heard is that of its owner, Richard Good, a lecturer who's harking back to radio's golden age through podcasting.
I love and I've always loved radio, and it helps me to just indulge in that. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with modern radio because I can remember radio when I was a child, and no doubt there's lots of rose-tinted glasses going on there, but there was something special about those days of listening in bed, you know, under the bedclothes to Radio Luxembourg or the pirate DJs, and being transported to ships being tossed on waves, or listening to the shipping forecast late at night when I should have been asleep. And all of that is also sort of filters into the podcast. And so it's as much as a tribute to radio and sort of radio that I want to do. So in a sense, the podcast is essentially about me, for me, and I'm being incredibly indulgent in that. But also, I'm also recognising that quite a lot of people are enjoying it and finding it helpful for one reason or another.
If the peace and tranquility of the canals are why you've sought out narrowboat content on YouTube, then Richard's podcast is the audio equivalent, a gentle oral massage for the brain.
26th of January, Wednesday. A magpie on the topmost branch rattles its greeting to the blurred dawn. The day begins with a bruised sky and birdsong.
In some respects, it's about life on the narrowboat Erica, but in other respects, the narrowboat and life on the canal is entirely incidental. It's more about a shared space that I and the listener create together of an imaginary world in which we can escape, explore things, explore life, talk about issues, and really just capture something and make something beautiful together. So when I talk about the bookcase over there on my right, they know exactly what books are on that bookshelf because they've placed them there, because they've imagined what that bookcase would contain, and it contains their favourite books. So the narrowboat Erica, it's a real boat, this is it, but there's also, just as importantly, it's the narrowboat Erica within their own minds, within their own imaginations, and I find that really powerful. I've been told that it's used by some healthcare professionals who work with people with terminal conditions, just to help them, just to relax. Lots of people use it just to go to sleep with. If people find it soothing, people find it relaxing, then the job's done. I've done something that I wanted to do.
Richard's narrowboat has a most fantastic layout, which includes an entire study or office area at the back. With just a couple of minutes of effort, this can be transformed into a broadcast studio, though Richard says anyone can do a podcast. You don't need particularly special or costly equipment.
Doing a podcast is very easy. And that, in a sense, is one of the things which make the podcast such a powerful but also such a popular thing. There's hundreds and thousands of podcasts. And particularly because of the pandemic, the popularity of podcasts has shot up and people are using podcasts all the time. So that's, again, is attracting a lot of people into creating their own podcasts. All you need is a microphone and software to record, and then uploading it to a podcast host. So in that sense, it's very, very easy and very cheap. And that's what I like about it. So my own equipment is probably about 10, 12 years old. Most podcasters tend to be nerds. They love to talk about the latest microphone and the latest software and all the gadgets and things. And they're horrified about the microphone that I use. But it's good. You know, it does its purpose. And that's what I want. I don't want to create a polished product. So the microphone actually is quite good because it is very directional. So it doesn't pick up on a lot of ambient noise. But I'm quite happy to keep the audio quite dirty because that gives us a little bit more atmosphere. So the boat clunks and clicks, particularly in the night when things are cooling down. And so you got the wood sort of banging and you got the metal, you're still banging, and you got ducks sort of jabbering up and down on the hull to having a midnight feast. And I'm quite happy to keep all of that in. Now, the microphone doesn't pick up quite a lot of that, but if it did, I would still keep it in. So for my purposes, recording is fairly easy. And it's just the kind of mixing it all together. That's the more complicated aspect of it.
Of course, possibly the greatest thing about being a broadcaster on a boat is that you have the very best place to sit and gather your thoughts. In Richard's case, on the roof, in the sunshine, with a pen and paper to make notes for the script.
I haven't done any broadcasting before. I've done a few podcasts, but they generally are for work, and I work in education. I did podcasting for a couple of reasons. One was entirely practical. When we were moving onto a boat, a lot of our friends said, we'd like to know more about it. Could you write a blog? And I've got a bit fed up with writing blogs, and I thought it'd be easier in some senses, and also a little bit different and a little bit more of a challenge, and help me to be a bit more creative if I did like an audio journal.
You can tune in to the relaxing reflections of Nighttime on Still Waters by going to noswpod.com or search for it on your favourite podcast provider.
The clouds are beginning to clear, and the wind has been dropping as night pools in around us. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome aboard.